when the life I built came crashing to the ground, when the friends I had were nowhere to be found. I couldn't see it then, but I can see it now. There was Jesus in the way, in the search, in the healing and the hurt, like a blessing buried in the broken pieces. Every minute, every moment, where I've been and where I'm going, even when I didn't know, I couldn't see it. There was Jesus. For this man who needs amazing kind of grace, for forgiveness and a price I
Hey, we're live. The Kingsland Connection.
Kingsland Connection.
Man, we are.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. We're live.
It is a good morning, I hope.
Yeah, welcome to the Kingsland Connection. The purpose of the Kingsland Connection is to extend Sunday into the work week. We're going to talk about Sunday, but we're also going to talk about what's coming
in
the future. Joe?
Big night last night, man.
Oh, man.
You know what I mean?
I
Did you watch the game?
Fell asleep in the third quarter.
Did you?
I did.
It was actually kind of a boring game, I'll be honest with you.
It was.
And who didn't know that Tom Brady was going to win another Super Bowl?
Man, I was rooting for Patrick Mahomes.
I know you were. I told you, don't bet against Tom Brady.
So
we don't bet.
So I told my kids this story last night, and Charlie thought it was the coolest thing ever. I love when, like, I hope someday my kids are going to know, like, I'm not that cool. But right now they think I'm the coolest ever.
Yeah.
So
I think you're cool.
I lived in Tyler when Patrick Mahomes played in high school.
Interesting.
And I ref football, making a little extra money on the side. I officiated football. I got to do his scrimmage, and then I reffed one of his games.
Nice.
And I told my kids that. They were like, that guy on TV?
Mm-hmm.
You're
the key to his success.
Yes.
I mean, that's
and
incredible.
Charlie said, so he knows you. I was like, no.
Yeah, that would be amazing if he did. I know. Well, we went over to a party last night. We were hanging out with some friends and I love it because Logan's 10, my son, and they're like, they don't care about the game at all. Like kids that age, they're just outside and they're playing basketball and football. And I said to one of my friends, I'd rather them be out there playing and hanging out than watching this game and everything. So it's fun. So how has your life changed? Here's a question for you guys to start answering. How has your life changed now that the Super Bowl's over and you know who won?
Yeah.
Probably hasn't changed much.
Nothing.
At all. And if you want, if you want a more serious question, here's my question for this morning. You know, speaking of Sundays.
Yeah, let's go into
the
Sunday
sermon.
morning. The sermon.
I love Pastor Steve Jones was preaching here at Central, and of course Pastor Rush was over at North Katy.
But then in the courts.
In the courts, we had Mr. Todd Pendergrass, and he did a fantastic job. And I just love how we have three venues, three places, and you know, we got pastors preaching live there. That's awesome. What an awesome team. I love listening to you preach too, Bobby, but that's good. But one of the stories that Steve shared in the beginning was his dad was in the military, and he grew up kind of a military brat, he said. That's kind of the phrase that he used. And he asked him about who's in charge, and, like, is there anyone that's at the top that doesn't have to listen to anyone or take any orders from anyone? And his dad said the generals usually do. And so it got a little chuckle out of that. And he said that's kind of shaped his view of who God is. Well, God's this general. Like, he just tells everybody else what to do. Nobody has to tell him what to do. And for many years, that was kind of his view of God. So my question is, if there was one word to describe, like, what your view of God was when you were younger, or maybe even now, what would it be? Like, Steve's was general.
Yeah.
And for mine, for a long time, it would be like dad. Like, my picture of it was for my father. Maybe it was like your best friend or whatever. I don't know what you would say.
Yeah, one word to describe who God is.
Yeah.
You know, I would love to say, Father. I think that's where I would hope that I would say, but I think oftentimes, like, it's more of that general, more of that, big man in charge kind of idea. But he's both.
Yeah. Like, he sits on his throne, and he's just kind of like a lot of people think he's like this puppet master, and he just tells things what to do, and it's like he's irrespective of his heart towards people.
But he's so loving and caring.
I know.
And he's both.
People don't balance that very, very well. I think they think it's
That's
one
good.
thing or the other. Yeah, I took some notes from Pastor Steve Jones' message yesterday. He was talking about how people wrestle with the sovereignty of God. That's really what we were talking about yesterday. We were looking at Ecclesiastes chapter 3, and he said there's really 3 ways that people tend to wrestle with God. He talked about a philosophical wrestling. If God is in control, like how do I have free will, and what's the balance between man's free will and sovereignty? And he talked about the moral question, or the moral wrestling. Like, if God is so good and he's in control of everything, well, why are bad things happening?
Yeah.
And I love Pastor Steve Jones hinted that in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
One of our next series I'm super excited about, we're going to kind of answer that question, because that is probably the question of all questions is, if God is so good, why is there pain and suffering in the world, which is good. I actually just read a book by C.S. Lewis on that.
Okay.
Which was pretty good. And then the last thing he said is rebellious wrestling, which I think is really, if we get down to the brass tacks, where people really are at.
Yeah. Don't tell me what to do.
I know. Don't tell me what to do. And I'll be honest, there's rule followers and there's rule breakers, and I have to confess, I'm a rule breaker. What are you? Are you a rule follower or a rule breaker?
I'm a rule follower.
See, I'm
like,
a rule
I need
breaker,
the rules. Tell me like, if I'm playing a game and like someone's going off the rules, like I pull up the sheet and I'm like, you're cheating, because it's not like I'm that guy.
I'm a rule breaker. I'm like, hey, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Wow, that's terrible. I shouldn't be doing that. I'm sorry. I confess that. Please pray for me and forgive me. But anyway, what was your big takeaway from the sermon? Throw it in the comments. We'd love to read those and see that, and just check that out.
The sermons are going to be live on Kingsland.org. Just scroll down a little bit to the latest sermon. You'll get that. What I loved talking about sovereignty, understanding that we can rest in sovereignty. You can rest in knowing who's in control. And it just made me think of a story with my daughter, Chandler, who, and this is kind of talking about with your kids of like, how do you talk about such a big thing with your children? And I think about thunderstorms. For years, my daughter, every time I'm like, she's getting in our bed. She's coming. And I don't know where it came from. I don't know how it happened, but she would come in our bed, and you can tell she's like tense and she's scared, and she doesn't know what's going on. And I would say to her, Chandler May, who are you with? Who are you with? And she'd say, I'm with Daddy. And I'm like, okay, I got you. Yeah. I'm here. And I'm not going to let anything happen to you. And you could feel just her release and her relax. That's the rest of knowing that God is sovereign. Yeah. Of knowing, like, I can take a deep breath and rest. He's in control. Right. And I think that's the greater narrative of how we rest in His sovereignty. And so that's the way I, like, as you're talking with your kids, of letting them know that mom and dad are in control, but guess who else is in? I mean, who's ultimately in charge? We can rest in that.
Yeah, Logan used to be so afraid of, like, the dark, and he wouldn't want to go anywhere in the dark. But then, like, when I put him on my shoulders, he'd want to go into a dark room because I'm with Daddy, so everything's fine, and I know I'm protecting stuff like that. And it's really good. That's a really good question to ask your kids. It's just, how do we know that we're okay? And because God is in control, and He's sovereign over everything. So
and
it's a good message.
And in the midst of the pandemic, that was what we said as a family. Like, who do we trust? Yeah. We trust the Lord. He's got this. So we don't know the uncertainty of tomorrow. We don't know, but we trust the Lord. Yep. And so just a powerful weekend. All 3 venues, the sermons are going to be up either on the podcast or on live, on YouTube. Like, you got to check out all 3. They're each unique. Rush at North Katy was fantastic. And Todd in the courts, just powerful. And what I love is you're going to see the same text in all 3, but you're going to hear different stories from different perspectives. And it's just, I love that we get to do that as a team. It's 3 amazing. Awesome
worship leaders at all 3 venues. I mean, it's fun. It's powerful. So, hey, amazing. As you start this Monday, as you start your week off, just remember the sovereignty of God. God is good. He's looking out for you. And just keep reminding yourself of that and just resting in that. That's good. That's good. That. So, what do we got coming up?
Let's talk some resources.
Yes.
Transition into some resources. We have on empoweredhomes.org this month, the month of February, we have February 14th that's coming up. Joe.
What day is that?
That's
the day after my mom's birthday.
Yeah.
Oh, Valentine's Day. Okay.
So, guys, if you're watching, Valentine's Day is coming up. Ladies,
don't
Valentine's
miss
Day. Here's what I have this tension with Valentine's Day.
Okay.
I think it's created by the big candy companies to sell candy.
Sure.
However, I like that it's part of our every year rhythm that we have a day to be intentional to love on our spouse.
Yes.
And so
I just like candy.
Well,
so
that's true. So it's like it's a made up thing just to make money for candy company. But I like that it's just a set day where we spend some extra time on our spouse. So the resource for this, and Joe's going to drop this in, empoweredhomes.org. It's a Valentine's Day challenge. And so this Valentine's Day challenge is a really cool resource. I'm not going to give it away. I'm going to let you go
I like it.
Check it out.
A little mysterious.
It's pretty cool. So empoweredhomes.org
Just dropped
Valentine's Day challenge. It's in the chat. And
to check that out.
Yeah, check it out. Valentine's Day. Don't think of it in a negative light. Think of it as a way for you to bless.
Is it both spouses should check that out?
Yes, both of them. Okay, so think of it as a way to bless your spouse. So
right. I like it.
It's pretty fun.
I like it.
So very fun. So
Check
now
it out,
another resource we got, the Win at Home question of the week. Win at Home question of the week.
I like this question. You come up with this. You ask your family this question a lot.
Yes, this is a great question.
It's a good question. Simple question.
Simple question.
And everyone
question.
can answer.
Yeah, and you're gonna hear the question and you'll be like, dude, it's not Thanksgiving. You know, this is a question you usually do at Thanksgiving, but you can do this every single day. The question is, what are you thankful for? You sit around with your family and ask them, what are you thankful for? So I do this every day with my kids. One of our core values is gratitude. We're going to be grateful for the things that we're given, the things that we have. I just never want our kids to not appreciate what's been given. So every morning on the way to school, we ask, what are you thankful for? And even if I don't ask it, now we're in a routine. They'll ask, they'll ask me, they'll ask Jen. And so what are you thankful for? This morning, Chandler said, I'm thankful for our family and all of our friends. And I was like, oh, man, we have community. We have great people around us. It was awesome. And then Charlie said, I'm thankful for food. So,
amen. I mean, it's simple and more complex. That's good. That's
dude,
good.
He ate some good food yesterday.
I'm sure.
So
I'm sure.
I'm thankful for food. So anyways, it was, what are you thankful for? It's just an easy question.
It's good.
We do it every day. You don't have to do it every day, but it's profound to make that part of your routine to have grateful kids. So, and
you can ask that that's a simple question to ask every meal, right? Or at least once a day for your kids, and you can create gratefulness and just excitement from your kids, and not a sense of entitlement. We don't need any more of that.
Yes, absolutely. Win at Home question of the week. What are you thankful for? Last thing, we got some great stuff coming up.
Yes, I'm really excited about this.
So the thing we have coming up that we want you to know about is our Empowered Homes Marriage and Parenting Weekend. You were handed these cards Sunday if you were here. If not, just go check out. We've got promotional videos and graphics and all that stuff. And this is a live virtual retreat. You know, typically at Kingsland around this time, we would be getting together. We'd have a date night where we'd bring in a speaker, and then we'd have a Saturday where we have breakout sessions to talk about parenting. This is all going to be virtual this year.
All virtual. Already recorded.
It's already recorded. So we recorded 8 breakout sessions and then 2 in Spanish as well. So we have 10 breakout sessions.
And they're kind of panel discussions. They're not just somebody looking at the camera speaking. It's like kind of a discussion like what we're having, which I really think is engaging. It's going to be super fun.
Yeah, and what I love about the panel discussion, I mean, you have a list here. You can we'll drop this in too of like the sessions, your marriage and prayer. We're talking about your marriage and prayer, but we're given real life stories and examples and practical steps. Goal setting is a great session. I love that session. We have a great panel for that. Kids Can, we're talking about how to break the entitlement. Raising kids in a blended family. Like there's so many different things that bring out when you are raising kids in a blended family. And we talk with real life couples who have navigated that, and so we get some tips and tricks from them. Teaching your kids the Bible, forgiveness in your family, and grace-based discipline. These are some great just sessions that we have. So we pre-recorded these sessions, and they're going to be played live for the first time. They're about 20 minutes on Saturday the 13th. They're about 20 minutes, and then after the sessions, we're going to be on Facebook right here like this talking about it. So you could join the conversation on the chat. We're going to talk about the session, but we're also going to kind of interact with you while we're online. We're going to say, hey, Joe says this about this session, blah, blah, blah. Right. So it's going to be real interactive in between each session. So
grab your community group.
Yes.
If you want to grab it at your house, whatever, maybe just your spouse.
Yeah.
You guys can sit down and watch it, interact, but leave comments and talk with us. It'll be fun.
And one of the questions I get or have been getting, and it happened Sunday, was, hey, is the virtual retreat, if I can't make it, I got stuff going on, we got baseball, we got basketball, we got different stuff with the kids. Can I watch it later? Absolutely. So we're going to we'll have the live virtual event, and then we're going to have it on Empowered Homes, kind of like Netflix. You can just watch it whenever you want. You can binge watch all of them and go through it. It'll be, on demand, however you want to do it after the event.
Super good.
And so you'll be able to access that. So these are incredible. Our media crew, man, they knocked it out of the park. With this one.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, Eric and Alex and Andrew, Brian, the whole crew. I mean, fantastic. Like the quality, looking at them, I'm like, man, like it's professional. Like it's legit. It's awesome.
Why you sound surprised? These guys are professionals. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not super surprised, but anyways. So Empowered Homes Marriage and Parenting Weekend.
We'll drop that in here in just a minute.
Yeah, we'll drop it into the chat, and so grateful for that. So make sure you are tuning into that. So that's the Kingsland Connection. We want you to get connected, stay connected, be connected. If you have any questions, drop it in the chat, or you can always email at Kingsland, info@kingsland.org, and we can chat with you. So, Joe?
Yeah.
Happy Monday.
Thanks, Bobby. Appreciate it. Love you guys. Take care.
See you next week.